Hey, thanks for tuning in today. This is my semi-weekly series called Meet the People in Mount Airy and around Mount Airy and local businesses. It just gives me a chance to meet people that I don't know very well, and sometimes I do, but find out interesting topics about some of the people in this town. This is Brian Helton with Brian Helton Realty and also with Woodman Life Insurance. And we do life insurance, 401k rollovers. We also sell property here in Mount Airy and the surrounding area. Anytime you wanted to reach me about either one of those, you can call me at 336-257-8614. That's 336-257-8614. And today I have the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Ken Klamfoth, which I'm hoping I say that right, and I might not have. He's smiling, so it means that I probably butchered it, and I apologize. Names are important. But Ken is the man in charge of AdvantaClean of the Triad here in Mount Airy and locally. They do mold remediation and inspection, heating and cooling duct cleaning, emergency water damage cleanup, which that's never a good thing to have happen to you, commercial HVAC coil cleaning, dryer vent cleaning, and I'm sure that's just a short list of things that go on here. And we're going to give him a chance in a minute to tell you a little bit about some of the stuff they do. But first off, he is originally from Ohio, so he is a transplant to this area, and I like to ask all transplants for the future transplants thinking about moving here, what is it that brought you to Mount Airy in this area?
Well, first of all, we moved to Mount Airy in 1984, and I guess my question is, when do you become a native and not a transplant? And that, of course, the simple answer is never. But yeah, we moved here in '84. We've lived here since, and have raised a family. Have a son, Daniel, who is now 33, and a daughter, Beth, who is now 37. So they were raised here in Mount Airy, and we love the small town community feel of Mount Airy. You know, the simple thing is that the weather moved us from Ohio to North Carolina many years ago. I moved to North Carolina in 1979, so it's been quite a while. But we love the weather here in North Carolina. We love the mountains nearby. The coast isn't that far away that we can't get to it in an easy half-day drive. Kind of an ideal place for us to settle in and raise a family.
See, that's what I try to tell everybody. You got the mountains close by if you want to go hiking. You've got the beach close by if you want to go see it. You've got all kinds of things in this area that are just, unique and convenient. And I didn't realize you'd been here that long. So your family is actually native Mount Airyans, and you might as well be. I mean, you got here as soon as you could. I mean, like everybody else does. But yes, I find this place, I sometimes feel like I'm on the Chamber of Commerce and running around preaching about the schools and the city and the greenways and all of this stuff. But wonderful place to live. You can take it from him. He's been here long enough to actually know. He's got an opinion on it. Ken, how did you get into the mold remediation and inspection business?
Well, as a result of the recession and the negative effect it had on the construction company that I was working for, I decided that I wanted to get into a business that I owned, that I controlled, and my undergraduate degree is in biology with a specialization in microbiology, so mold remediation just kind of fit. I also was working in a large construction company. I knew of subcontracting, those sort of things, so a subcontractor business, a small business like AdvantaClean, fit really, really nicely. We keep busy here, and Surrey County. We also have Stokes and Forsyth County, so we're on the run a good bit, taking care of people's mold, cleaning air ducts. In fact, that's where the crew is today, is cleaning an air duct system. And also, on occasion, we do the emergency water cleanup when somebody's basement floods, when they have an ice maker leak, all those sort of things.
Awesome. So you're kind of living the American dream right here in Mount Airy. Sounds great. We'll get some apple pie here in a minute and munch on that. But I want to talk to you a little bit about mold remediation, because I want you to give a tip to some people. When I'm out selling houses and it seems like it's been rainier and a little bit more damp in the air, and I'm guessing that's a great climate when you throw in some heat like today for mold to grow in. And I don't know a lot about it, and we're probably not going to be able to touch on all the wonderful subjects of mold remediation, but give me an idea of just one or two little tips to look for, or maybe to mold proof your house, or is it just luck of the draw sometimes?
Let's answer the second question first in terms of mold proofing your house. Mold spores are floating around in the air by millions. That's the little seeds that are microscopic that latch onto things and start growing mold. If you don't believe me, put a wet piece of bread out on your counter for about 3 days and see if you don't start growing mold. The way to keep mold from growing in your house, though, is to control the mold through controlling humidity. Mold needs 3 things to grow. It needs a food source, which is the building products, an organic food source like wood, leather, some cloth, natural cloth fibers, those sort of things. And it has those in abundance. The second thing it needs, of course, is those mold spores, and they float around in the air in microscopic nature, and Mother Nature provides those in abundance. The third thing that it needs is water, and it finds that in the form of humidity. So if you're controlling the humidity in your house, in your basement, in your crawl space, if you're controlling that water, if you're cleaning up after water leaks quickly and getting the house dried out, you will keep a house pretty safe. You need to keep the house below 50% relative humidity on a year-round basis, and if you do that, chances are very good that you'll never see mold grow in the house. The answer to your second question in terms of things, mold and mildew are actually the same thing. If you're starting to see mold grow in your bathrooms, if you're starting to see mold grow on the legs of furniture, particularly the darker colored wooden furniture legs, those sort of things, you may have mold. If you have a musty odor that's coming from the basement or crawl space, it might be a good time to take a look and see if you have mold starting to grow on the wood part of those structures.
So what it sounds like to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I know nothing about the subject except for call you and come get it cleaned up. Maybe if your basement is a little damp or something, a dehumidifier may be a good idea. And definitely controlling the temperature seems like that would be something that would be a good idea. Maybe keep it cooler or steady, or...
It's not as much temperature as it is that humidity. If you've got a dehumidifier in your basement, if your crawl space is properly vented, or on the opposite side, now we're starting to encapsulate crawl spaces with plastic liners and putting sump pumps and dehumidifiers in them and sealing them off and making them conditioned spaces. That actually protects better than the old crawl space with the vents type situation. But controlling the humidity is the key. Mold grows at most any temperature. Hot and humid makes it really grow in this part of the world, but even cold and humid will allow mold to grow as well.
Well, it is definitely humid here in the South. So you shouldn't ever run out of business. But hopefully somebody will take a few of those tips and save themselves some trouble. But if not, make sure you give Ken a call and he'll get it cleaned up for you. Ken, I love talking about business and I love hearing about what you do and all those things. But I really like talking to people about things outside of their business that allows them to tell people, hey, I've got a business in this, but I'm also a human being who has other interests in life. And I search for people who do things that I find interesting. So I saw on Facebook a while back where you are in intense training for the Olympic decathlon. And
No.
no, it's not the Olympic decathlon. My fault. Sorry, people. No, Ken has decided that he is going to take off on the Appalachain Trail for a week and rough it. And some of us dream about that, but very few of us ever get a chance, because if we get a week, we go to the beach. But he gets a week to enjoy nature and do something that I can only imagine would be about as fun a thing as he could possibly do. And he gets to share it with his family. But anyway, how many miles are you going to walk on the Appalachian Trail?
We're going to walk about 65 miles over 6 days.
So averaging around 11 miles a day.
Yeah.
So how does one decide that is what one is going to do, is to spend their vacation walking?
Well, I didn't start out deciding that that's what I was going to do, and therefore I'm going to train for it. Last October, as a result of medical issues, my doctor strongly suggested that I find an exercise that I like and that I keep it up the rest of my life. And I'm fortunate with the Greenway. Brian, you mentioned the Greenway here in town, but the start of the Greenway is about a third of a mile from the house, and one of the places that you can get off the Greenway is about a quarter of a mile from my office. So in October of last year, October of 2016, I decided that I was going to leave my business car at work, and I was going to do my commuting by walking to and from the house on a daily basis. So I've been walking the 6.2 miles round trip since October 5th of last year, and so I started to get in shape.
Right on.
I lost a good bit of weight, felt better, felt more energetic, all those sort of things. And, I would have never in my life thought that I could have. I've always wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail, but I've never thought that I could actually do it. Well, as a result of the walking, and I'm averaging about 7 miles a day is what I'm doing right now, that I am in condition to the point that I could do it. And I'm getting of the age where I don't think that I've got a whole lot of years left, so I'm not calling it a bucket list kind of item, but it's certainly an item that if I can do it at this point, I decided that I wanted to. The other part is that my son and his wife are avid hikers, campers,
Right,
those
that's
sort
awesome.
of things, and they were actually the ones that said they wanted to go use their vacation to hike the Appalachian Trail, and my son encouraged me to go along, and I politely declined several times, saying no, they didn't want to drag the old man along on the trail, and they said no, they really wanted me to go. So long story short, about the first of the year we started making plans for this trip, and we're taking off here in a couple weeks.
Well, I think
on the trip.
it's awesome, and I think it's throw the Appalachian Trail adventure out, but I think just taking advantage of some of the wonderful things that Mount Airy has to offer by using the Greenway daily to walk from your house to work. And I think you just said it was what, 6 miles plus round trip. And people who are watching this that don't know, Mount Airy in this area gets really, really cold, and it also gets really, really hot and humid. And there's also rain and snow sometime between October and today. And I barely go to my mailbox in the rain, and this man's hiking 6 miles to and from work. So that in itself is just quite impressive. But I guess back to the Appalachian Trail part, where are you going to jump into it? And
Well, I keep forgetting exactly where we're going. We're going to hike along the Virginia-Tennessee border, and I believe it's the Roan Highlands is the area that we're going to hike.
oh, wonderful spot, wonderful
And,
spot.
My wife, who is not a camper, is going to deliver us and pick us up. And,
Yeah, I was going to ask you about transportation if you had to walk back to
No.
get your car.
She's going to let us off at one place, and we found another place where that's accessible by car, and hopefully we'll be at that spot ready to be picked up. So
Now, you realize there's bears out there, right?
yeah,
Okay, all
we
right.
do realize there's bears.
Now, do you take precautions for bears? I mean, obviously you're going to have some storage containers that are bear proof, and
Well, you hike with everything on your back, so the ability to carry storage containers that are bear proof is not possible. You know, we're going to store stuff, but we're smart enough that we won't store it in our tents, and we've got containers, soft pack containers that we'll move outside, and if the bears decide to come and get it, I guess we'll be hungry for a couple days.
I've watched Yogi enough to know that he might be smarter than
But,
the average bear.
We're going to carry bear spray, but bears, for the most part, unless they're trained to start eating food, bears are going to stay shy of humans for the most part.
Now, I know Sunday we went and hiked at the Yadkin Island Park, part of Pilot Mountain, and we were there, I guess, we did 4 miles, maybe 4.5. And, it was really nice walk. Anybody that's never been there, it's wonderful down in Pinnacle. It's a great trail, and it's a rather easy trail, too. But we were just bombarded by mosquitoes endlessly all day. And then, by the good graces that my wife happened to be looking down, almost walked up on a 3-foot copperhead crossing our trail. So, what do you do for that? I mean, I know you're going to be aware of all these things, but are you carrying bug spray, a first aid kit? I mean, how do you handle that?
We'll be carrying a first aid kit, but we also have bug spray, bug repellent. Mosquitoes and ticks are always a problem when you're out hiking, and snakes, you just have to be wary of them. They will cross your path on occasion, but they're few and far between.
Well, you have done in your training, I keep up with you a little bit, if I can. I know that you've been using Pilot Mountain a little bit to get your trail footing under you. What's your favorite trail around here that you would recommend to people?
The one that we've used the most, and probably my favorite, is a combination of a couple trails over at Pilot Mountain, and it starts there at the lower ranger station, and is the Grindstone Path.
Oh, okay, the one that's marked strenuous, people.
And the Grindstone Path takes you up to the parking lot at the top, and then we walk over to the Pinnacle and around the Pinnacle,
Okay.
and then come down the backside of Pilot Mountain where the repellers are climbing and doing that. That's
Oh, okay.
always fascinating to watch them. And then we hook back up with the grindstone path and come back down to the parking lot. And we've done that several times. My son and daughter-in-law have used their full packs. I've been walking my pack back and forth from home, and so on the weekends I just hike with them. We've also used Hanging Rock State Park, and probably our longest hike to date was virtually almost all of Hanging Rock State Park. We hiked 11 miles on one Saturday.
Oh, that's awesome.
In February, doing that, and that was a lot of fun to do that. But that was our longest hike. But Stone Mountain over at Elkin is a super place to hike. You know,
That is.
You practically can walk out your door and find a good place to hike around here.
You can. That's the truth. And he's mentioned a lot of my favorites and my family's favorites. We haven't done the Grindstone Trail, but we've done several of the ones up on the top of Pilot Mountain. And we love Pilot Mountain. We love the views from Pilot Mountain. And we love Hanging Rock. We think that place is great. But we've also started using the Music Center Trail up at the Parkway, where the local bluegrass music center is, and we think that trail is wonderful too. So for anybody listening, if you get a chance, go up there. When you get to the fork in the road, go to the right, don't go down to the music center, go to the lower parking lot and park. And it's a wonderful trail, but it's if you're going to do it all, it's about a 3-hour 3-hour hike.
And another fun one is the one at Cumberland Knob.
Oh, Cumberland, yeah, I forgot all about Cumberland.
Go down to the creek. It's a shorter hike. It's only about 2.5 miles, but it's pretty strenuous. It's got some elevation to it, so
yeah,
it's a fun one.
When I was little, we would go do that one, and I haven't braved it much lately, but I remember getting down was a lot more fun than coming back out. But there's plenty of places to hike around here. It's a gorgeous place. It's very accommodating to hikers and to casual walkers. I mean, some of the trails are really strenuous, and some are just very pleasant, walks. But let me ask you this: what are you going to eat for 6 days?
In the morning, I'm going to have instant oatmeal with freeze-dried fruit is my staple for the morning. At lunch, I've got summer sausages that I'm carrying along with some cheeses that I'll have, cheeses and crackers. And then for dinner, we've got the freeze-dried prepared meals that, and we've actually done a test run. We had 4 of those for dinner one night at our house, seeing which ones we liked. But the pouches are for 2.5, usually 2 to 2.5 servings, and
okay, good.
I figure I'll gobble down one of those pretty easily after hiking 10 miles.
Oh, after a day like that, I can't imagine. Now, I've had a couple friends of mine that have spent some time on the Appalachian Trail, and they tell me that it's kind of segmented between regular visitor stations where there's places to camp, and sometimes you just have to rough it and pick your spot to camp. Are y'all segmented that way, or is it going to be roughing it every night, or?
We're carrying our tents. We've got little backpacking tents that we'll be carrying in our backpacks, so we're prepared to rough it if we have to. There are the cabins. We aren't picking our night stops or our distances around those cabins, but if they're there and we're ready to stop, that's kind of what we'll do. This time of year, there are a lot of hikers, and it's first come, first serve, so you never know whether you're going to have one or not.
Right, that's true, all the way around. I don't know if this is even a question you've given any thought to, but I'm sure it is. It sounds like you've thought about it a lot. How much is your immediate full backpack when you step out going to weigh, and what's going to be the end result? How much you think it's going to weigh at the end of 6 days?
Well, if anybody, any of the viewers have seen the Walk in the Woods, they started out with full packs, and within a day or two, they had thrown everything but the necessities out. That might be me. We've packed the packs and weighed the packs, and they're going to weigh somewhere between 35 and 40 pounds.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fully packed. I've tried to. I'm not using my winter sleeping bag. I'm using a lighter summer bag that stuffs down to a really small size. I've bought a tent that was light, and I'm trying to go as light as possible. During my training, I put a 35-pound bag of birdseed in my pack, and I've been hauling it around, and there have been a couple times that I've wanted to poke a hole in the bottom
Right,
and start feeding the birds. But in any case, that's what I've been using for training.
Well, I think the whole thing's awesome, and I'm not. For people who don't know, there's going to be a part 2 of this, and it's either going to be his successful 6 days, or it's going to be I twisted my ankle and had to come out on 3, which I'm hoping not at all, or we got rained out. I'm hoping it's a wonderful experience. So in part 2, I got some other things I want to ask him, but on part 1, heading out, shoes and socks, what's your plan?
Shoes and socks are certainly a big concern, because I'm a person that can get foot blisters pretty easily. I have a pair of hiking boots that I purchased during the winter and have been hiking in on a regular basis, and I have good wool medium weight socks that I'll be wearing, and I've been wearing those when hiking, so I know that the combination of shoes and socks aren't going to create blisters for me.
Okay, good.
So I'm pretty well prepared in terms of that. I'll be carrying in my first aid kit blister adhesion, moleskin kind of things that I'll be taking along just in case. But hopefully, knock on wood, I won't experience any blisters.
I hope not. I hope it's the best trip you can possibly have, and I'm sure you got rain gear and stuff, but I hope it's not even rain. I hope it's sunny, and I hope you and your family have a great trip, and there'll be more we'll get to in part 2, but I'm sure people are tired of hearing me ask you questions about all this stuff. So one thing that I do want to ask you, and this is off the subject of hiking, it's off the subject, it's just about life in general, which is all of it. But you're 63, I believe, is what you told me. 60.
I'll soon be 62.
Soon be 62, and you mentioned your bucket list and kind of casually and laughed about it, and everybody talks about those things. And one thing that I'm really glad to see with you is I have things that I've been thinking about, since I was 20, and I've never accomplished them. I've never done them, and some of that's just laziness. Some of it's your life changes and you can't get to them till later in life. But I'm glad to see you're going out and doing something that is going to be a memory that is going to be a memory. I mean, there's going to be nothing you can do about it. But now that you've trained some and you've prepared some and you're looking at different things that you didn't initially think you were going to be looking at this point in life, and you look back over your life, you and I were talking other day just about your camping experiences early in life with your family. And I ask everybody this, for somebody older, younger, anybody, it's not really words of wisdom, it's just looking back on it all. Is there something that you think defines success? I mean, what is it now versus when you were 10,
Well, I think success is measured in all sorts of things, and I can probably tell you more what's not success to me than what is success. But I view success simply as your success in your family. That long after you're gone, the legacy that you leave behind with your family is certainly the most important thing that you can ever do while you're on this earth. And that's one of the great joys of being able to do this hike with my son and daughter-in-law, is that it'll be a family memory. It'll be something that 30 years from now, my son will be telling other people about the time he hiked the Appalachain Trail with his old man. And
I think it's great.
That's if you raise good kids and they're productive and they carry on your name throughout time, that's what success is to me.
I think that that's about as good of a summation of it from my perspective. Also, is one of the reasons that I started Brian Helton Realty, and one of the reasons that I'm sitting here with you today and filming you is I'm trying to create, with my company, I'm trying to create something that my kids can be proud of, and trying to be community involved and treat people right and respectful, that they can look and say, okay, my dad was not trying to cheat people, he wasn't trying to do this. But then with the video segments, I'm trying to leave them a little bit of advice from you and other people I interview, but a little bit of just hearing their dad talk, a little bit of this or that. And hopefully, like you said, when it's all done, my 3 kids will be able to take something with them that they can pass on from generation to generation. And I think it's wonderful. I think what you're doing is wonderful. And I hope that when your son and your daughter get older, that it may be something like that with their kids. I mean, I think it's absolutely fascinating. I'm going to take just a second to let you tell people name of your company, what your direct line is if they want to call you, however you want to do it.
Well, the name of my company is AdvantaClean of the Triad, and our phone number is 336-719-0205, and my email address is klamfoth@gmail.com. Of course, Klamfoth is spelled Klamfoth.
Yes, I butchered the name
because it's misspelled a lot, but klamfoth@gmail.com is the easiest email to get me on.
Well, I hope that a lot of people see this, and I hope it gives them a chance not only to learn about your business, which is fascinating,